Okay guys, it's still Tuesday morning. It's a little bit later now. It's almost 10 o'clock. And we are still doing projects for you here today. So last week, one of our members, Lorraine, emailed me and said, have you ever considered doing a video where you try and regrow fruits and veggies from scrap? And yes, I had thought about that, ironically enough. But I thought, obviously the time is now to do this. So the first thing I thought was, what have I got that can regrow from scraps? And right now I'm kind of focused on onions. So I looked it up online because I've seen a couple of different ways of doing this. So let me show you what I've got so far. So the first and sort of most popular option seems to be to simply cut the bottom part, like this part, like a quarter of your onion off with the bottom, the root part attached, and to peel back any brown skin, and then to simply float it in water for a few days and see what happens. So I tried a couple different things here in the name of science. So the first thing was I tried a red onion, which I peeled completely, and amazingly, I'm hoping you guys will be able to see this. You see these little, if I turn my stove light on here, this is all new root growth. So that's literally just a couple of days of being in the water. So that's fantastic. I can actually take this old stuff off, I think. Oh, no, it doesn't want to fall off, so I'm not going to pull it. We've also got some yellow onions here. These are just your cooking onions. This one I just put in yesterday. I don't see anything on there. I don't know if it will sprout or not. This is a yellow onion that I put in with the skin on, just because I wanted to see what would happen, if it would inhibit it rooting or not. You can't really, this is going to be too hard for you guys to see, I think, but there is a tiny little white root nodule starting here. So it seems to be working with or without the paper. Well, the one thing I do know is that the onion skin does stain the water brown. I have to change the water every day. And this one has been in there for a few days. Let me see. Yep, there is one tiny little root nodule happening on this one, so we're gonna leave it. I don't know, I have good hopes, I have good thoughts on the red onion maybe working out. Also, in the deep dark recesses of my fridge, I found a couple onions. Now, in fairness, when I found them, they were not sprouted nearly this much. I've been hanging on to these suckers to see if I can get them to sort of get to this stage, so that what I can do is just plant these directly in the ground. I'm gonna peel in though. I think what I saw online, let me find a little knife here, is that you have to kind of very gently peel into it, because you're looking to get the bulb part that's inside, because all this stuff on the outside is actually feeling a little bit squishy. It's not something you would really want to eat, I don't think. You can see there's some new root growth right there. Already, just by taking off this outer layer, this inside layer feels much, much better. I don't know how much further I should really be going with this, but we'll see. I'm trying not to take off those little roots at the bottom. Okay, I'm thinking this is as far as I'm going, because that feels nice and firm, and I think that's got a good likelihood of growing into a decent onion. So we're gonna set that one aside. Gonna do the same thing. This one, as you can see, it really squishy. Like, you wouldn't want to eat that at this point. And I'm just gonna very gently when they're that squishy, they're actually just a little hard to get into. Okay. So I'm going to take the paper on that one and I'm going to put it in there in a little clamshell. I'll fill you in on that. It's another theory of mine. I don't know. We'll see. See how well it works. So again, I'm just peeling off layer by layer until I get to a point where the onion is feeling firm inside. Now this one that's different, you can see at the top here, there's two distinct shoots. So I'm hoping eventually, if I peel back enough onion skin, I will get enough for 2 onions out of this one. We'll see. I don't really know. I know you can, oh, there we go. Okay, so I just got that last layer of onion skin off, and as you can see, there's a very clear break. I'm just going to use a knife in the middle to kind of give a clean slice. There we go, right down the middle. Last little bit of yucky skin. Okay, now, because I don't see the root development on these, oh, there's maybe one nodule there. I think what I'm going to do with these guys is I am going to put them in some water for a day or two as well before I plant them. But I think, you know, I've got some good growth here. I might be able to just stick them in the ground as is. We'll see. So what I have done with this is one of those strawberry clamshells you get at the grocery store. I have just taken basically, I don't need this stuff, I just want the papery skin. I've moistened a paper towel and put it on the bottom of the clamshell. Okay, and then I'm going to go out to my garden and I'm going to get a mixture of soil and a little peat moss, and I'm going to fill this up, and I'm hoping that as this stuff decomposes down in the bottom, it's just going to add a little bit of extra nutrients to the soil, which might be good for our onions. So there's that. I will bring that in and show you when I have my dirt, and then we'll put our at least our red onion, I think, in there and get it started. Now these are green onions, scallions. Time to change the water. These little things grow at an incredible rate. This has been in the water for only 2 days, and as you can see, tons and tons of new root growth, and also some green growth up at the top here. Now the middle one, this one here, I'm not so sure. Not so sure. It still feels fresh. It doesn't feel squishy. So we're gonna change the water. Leave them there. I think I'll probably plant 2 of the green onions in here with my red onion, and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to give my hands a rinse. I'm going to take my clamshell out, get my peat moss and my soil. I'm going to take some time and dump my compost bucket for the day because it's already very full, and then I will be back with you. Okay guys, so I've put a mixture of some peat moss and just some soil from my garden on top of the onion skins and the moistened paper towel here. So now it's time to get our green onions into the ground. So I'm just using the butt of a knife here to make a little hole. Get those roots in, pointing down. Okay, there's that. This other green onion we're going to let go for a little bit. We're going to see what happens with him. This onion has a lot of really good growth. I know we're going to be kind of cramped in this little container because it's really not quite big enough. However, we're just going to do the best we can, and this is more of a science experiment, I think, than anything else. So we're going to cover that up. The reason I'm doing it in here and not just going outside is it's just plain still too cold to go outside. I don't think anything would really stand a great chance of doing well in the garden if it weren't covered right now. So, and I'm going to take our red onion because that seems to be the one with the most root growth and the most potential. And I'm going to cover it right over. I've seen people that leave the top exposed to the air. I'm just going to cover it up. And we're going to just keep this in the kitchen here. I think I'll trim the lid off. There's really no reason I need to have that lid on there. I'm just going to kind of set it aside here, probably over near my basil plant. Oh, and speaking of basil, that is one that I am really keen to see if we can regrow from scraps. So I took about a 3-inch piece of basil, no leaves at the bottom, and I popped it in some water yesterday. I'm told it takes about 5 days. You should see some root growth. I'm hoping so. Basil is something that I use a lot. I generally always have a fresh basil plant in my kitchen on the go. And in the summer, I grow 8 or 10 basil plants in my garden alongside my tomatoes just because I use so much of it so often. So we're going to put these, I think we're going to put these guys, well, one has root growth, one really doesn't. Put the one that doesn't in the water with the other green onion. This one here, we'll just make a little hole and we'll stick him in there as well. I have a little squirt bottle. I will give the top of my soil a little light misting just to keep it moist. and we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll check back with you guys in a few days, and we'll see how they're looking from the top.